So in this third part of our talk, we're now going to look at what good data infrastructure looks like. So when we think about a good data infrastructure, what we're thinking about is moving to something that's more holistic, where we're not so disjointed and there are not so many sort of disconnected components. So some of the key things we need to start thinking about, as I've mentioned in previous talks, are the use of identifiers, the use of clear data standards, the use of registers to actually collate data in single places, the use of technology, obviously, the different organizations that feed into a particular data infrastructure, the guidance on policies about how we actually move towards a better data world, and the general data community as a whole need to form part of that whole data infrastructure. So thinking about a data infrastructure that's been working for some time, the geospatial world that I come from has actually been forced into this better place because of things like the EU Inspire directive that came out in around 2007. This was all about documenting data better and providing better ways of viewing data and downloading data and structuring it and sharing it better with licensing. And it's actually been written into Scottish law, so it's a legislative requirement that all public bodies should be doing this. However, it hasn't necessarily been enforced on people, which is why many people don't necessarily know about it and adhere to it. But what it is all about generally is making data more discoverable. So that's metadata records about the data hosted somewhere online that everyone can find. It's about allowing data previews, allowing people to visualize data before they actually plow in and start using it. And it's also about downloadable data, making data far more accessible and easier to get your hands on. There's also an element of Inspire, which is around data transformation and standards and specifications. However, we believe that this is overly complex and actually causes people more harm than good a lot of the time if they try and adhere to these transformation standards. But Inspire also provides guidance on how to share data better using licensing. If we look at other areas within the data community, the science community have recently started talking about the FAIR principles around sharing of data. And when you look into these, they're actually not dissimilar to what Inspire was talking about in 2007. So FAIR generally stands for F, findable, A, accessible, I, interoperable, and R, reusable. So you can see why it sort of mirrors what Inspire was saying all those years ago. But we're starting to see far more people talking about these FAIR principles around data. So if we think about what we've done in Scotland in the geospatial community to sort of adhere to Inspire and to build a better sort of holistic data infrastructure around spatial data, what we have is a metadata register to start with, where everyone should be providing their metadata about their data sets so anyone can find them on the internet using simple Google searches and keyword searches. In the improvement service, we have created a tool called the Spatial Hub that actually publishes data as web services. So you can hear we have the capability to actually visualize and preview data as a web mapping service before we actually delve into it or download it. But then we also provide the download capabilities, what we call the web feature services or the APIs that actually enable people to get hold of the data and start doing clever things with it. And what we've done is we've used a range of technology solutions, most of them open source technologies that enable us to manipulate this data and make it more useful for the entire data community.